This is ESBR Boxing. I'm delighted to be joined by my esteemed colleague Danny, two Northern Irishmen on the call today. So for anyone, we'll hopefully get some subtitles on for you. Um, but no, we're reacting there. We've just watched Artur Beterbiev and Anthony Yarde weigh in ahead of their scheduled fight tomorrow night. Massive fight in the light heavyweight division. You got Beterbiev, 18-0, all stoppage victories. Yarde 23-2 with 22 stoppage victories. So, both huge punchers, absolutely massive fight, all but one belt in the light heavyweight division on the line with Beterbiev, being holding all of the belts bar the WBA belt. So yes, Danny, just if you want to first and foremost to say, what did you make of the weigh-in? Both men made weight, obviously. Anything interesting? Did anyone look gaunt? How do you think they all looked? Just give us your summary of the weigh-in.
Neither of them looked particularly bad. I think Yard probably looked the better of the two. Obviously had a slightly more sort of sunken in cheekbones and whatever, but that's obviously to be expected. They're both big light heavyweights and both, obviously cutting a lot of water weight. Sorry, my fucking phone's pinging here. But apart from that, not a great deal. As I say, Beterbiev probably looked the worst. He was very quick to reach for the water, sat down when drinking the water, if there's anything to take from that. But I don't know. I think sometimes there can be a lot of like kidology goes on at this, as in like, oh, you don't want to be too quick to reach for the water and they're putting it off, but they're dying for it. So you could sort of read loads into it. But aside from that, obviously we're just happy they both made weight. We've got a fight. And I don't think, me personally, there's not too much I could read into it. What about yourself?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, mate. It's I've said in our preview show and in the betting show, I think Beterbiev will win by stoppage in the first half of the fight. And my prediction hasn't really changed. I think both looked really good. I do agree with what you're saying. Beterbiev maybe slightly more gaunt, but still looked like he made it. Not comfortably. No, it's not comfortable making weight. We all know that. But it didn't look like it was a real struggle.
Yeah.
The thing funny you mentioned about the reaching for the water. Obviously, yeah, I was looking at that Yard, got off the scales, and he went over and was putting his socks and all back on first. So he's probably thinking in his head, "Don't go for the water, don't go for the water." Uh,
Definitely.
yeah. Whereas Beterbiev's just like, I don't care, I'm gonna drink my water. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, if people do read a lot into it, and I know a lot of people, if they're putting bets on, for example, on fights, they wait until the weigh-in to make their predictions because, and I do understand that because a lot of weigh-ins, obviously people missing weight. There are sometimes people, do look a wee bit wobbly when they step up onto the scales and stuff. But I don't think this was the case there. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. Not really reading too much into it. But yeah, do you make anything of the stare down? Obviously, there's been no animosity or anything. Throughout the whole build up of this fight, nothing at the press conference. Just a long stare down again today at the weigh-in. The final stare down before they step through the ropes to face one another. Do you read anything into that?
Um, I think Artur Beterbiev's not really the type to get involved in handbags and pushing and shoving, and neither's really Yard, to be fair. I don't think you reach the level either of these have, to be fair, certainly not Beterbiev, if you get like intimidated at a stare down. I don't think fighters at that level really get scared. They're probably scared of losing, but they're not scared of the man in front of them. Saying that Beterbiev's maybe a different kettle of fish. But no, he was praying again, wasn't he? Beterbiev or Beterbiev, and I was sort of scared looking at him. I don't know how Yard felt, but no, it was intense. But obviously, as it has been all week, sort of very low key and respectful, which I think we've sort of gotten used to, and I think that's sort of a big contrast as what you're going to see on Saturday night.
Yeah, definitely. I think both men have been very respectful and as you should be, I suppose. Obviously, we like a wee bit of needle every now and then, but that's nah. I think fair play. Once the first bell goes tomorrow, um, it'll be good. But yeah, I'm like you. I didn't read anything into the stare down. Just finally, just a wee quick reaction video here. But obviously, I do have to ask you for a prediction. Has your mind changed? What is your prediction for Artur Beterbiev versus Anthony Yarde tomorrow night?
I'm predicting a very, very hard night for Anthony Yarde. I struggle to give him much chance, to be honest. Beterbiev, like you look at all the credentials. I mean, a puncher's chance is really all Anthony Yarde's got, as far as I'm concerned. Beterbiev's better than him in every area, bar maybe natural speed and athleticism. I mean, if he can beat him, that would be probably, that we discussed it in the chat, didn't we, the other day, but probably the biggest upset that a Brit has managed to, to get, certainly since I've been watching boxing seriously. But I make Beterbiev probably as big a favourite as the odds would suggest tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to stick with my prediction as well and say that Beterbiev probably around, if I was to pick an individual round, or I'd probably go around 4 or 5 or 6 around there, just
Yeah.
before the first, just before it, but still in the first half of the fight. What about you? If I had to give you a 2-round window, when's the knockout coming?
A 2-round window. Yarde, probably, we don't know how good Yarde's chin is. I know Kovalev stopped him, but it was more sort of exhaustion, wasn't it? But I'd say you're probably not too wrong with 5-6. But I almost hope, for Anthony Yarde's sake, it is them, because Beterbiev doesn't tire, whereas Yarde does, and his power goes. So if that goes into the second half, that'll just be a bludgeoning session. I think it could get hard to watch. But I would say you're probably not too far wrong with what you said there, to be honest.
Yeah, looking forward to it, mate. I'm going to definitely, good that it's not on pay-per-view and all as well, but we'll be tuning in tomorrow night. So yeah, cheers, Danny, for catching up about the way in there, and enjoy the fight tomorrow.
No bother, mate. You too. Thanks.
Cheers.